Welcome to Mr. V's note-taking and notebook setup. So I have myself a 70-page spiral notebook, and we all have seen these before. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write Mr. V. I'm wanting you to write Mr. V because that way if we lose our notebook, people can always get it back to where it belongs to. Inside my notebook, I want you to write your name. Mr. B. Oh, Mr. B, do we have to take notes? The answer is yes. And taking notes helps you to organize yourself and organize your brain. By taking notes, it helps you to restate the words in your head, which helps retain info. Taking notes also is a multitasking function that aids in coordination. Doing this will prepare you for college. It also creates good habits and impresses bosses and professors. We're going to use titles and subtitles. We're going to circle vocab. We're going to highlight words we don't understand or are confusing. We're going to use the left side of our notebooks to draw pictures that show our understanding as well as keep up with vocabulary. I just realized that the camera didn't show everything that I was writing. So I wanted to put it down on this piece of paper so you can see it for yourself. So since I did this in Sharpie, there was no going back. First thing that I want to show you is your SPIs. These are state performance indicators. They are what I am by law supposed to teach you. Next to these indicators, you see these letters C, E, G, H, P, T. And that's what they stand for. I want you to go ahead and write that down in the front of your notebook as well. So, culture. I'm a culture nerd. I love to think about how language is formed. Love to think about how people came up with concepts like the concept of zero was happening at the same time in two parts of the world that were separated by oceans. Talking about the Maya and the Hindu. How can something like that be explained? Next is economics. So this takes us back to how economics affected societies, how economic ideas came to be, and how they kind of evolved over the centuries to be something that we have today. Geography. I'm a geography nerd. So, geography. It says, the study of physical features of the Earth, its atmosphere, and of human activity, including distribution of populations and resources, land use, and industries. It's the study of the Earth. Geo is a word that means Earth. Next is H for history. I love this time of history because it really explains where we came from and how we got to where we are today. There's a lot of great aspects about it, some gross aspects about it, some good kings, bad kings, crazy kings, just up and down the line. Isolation. It's amazing what happens, and I can't wait to share so much of this class with you through history. Politics and government. Politics and government is just simply about how did we get here. It's really about the issues that people dealt with and how people got rights over time and ideas that influenced modern day governments like ours today. And then finally, Tennessee. There's many things about Tennessee we'll be learning this year, and because it's a great state, it's where we live. Okay, I have here also Mr. V teaches. Mr. V does not teach religion. I teach about religion because it was a big part of history. But my religion is my religion, and your religion is your religion. And that's how we'll keep it in this classroom. But I do teach theory. And theory is the best explanation we have using scientific proof and logic. This is a vocabulary word. We will be accountable for our vocabulary words several times this year. I've made it into a little flashcard right here inside my notebook. Make sure you have plenty of post-it notes. Oops. On this page, we have a brand new topic. I think I'm going to make it colorful. It's our first topic. Well, green is definitely my favorite color. Geo, Earth. Boom. Look at this. Two sides of the paper. On this side, we talked about showing how we're going to maybe draw pictures. We're going to put our vocabulary over here while we build the body of notes on this side. For some of you who are big writers, you might need 2 journals. So I really want to maybe do a consistent color code throughout the notes, maybe just throughout the, each module. But the first thing that I'm going to do, because I probably won't use it too much, I'll make this a title. There's other colors I really want to use. I'm going to put my title right here, right in the center of the page. And you want to highlight it too, you want to draw little faces on here. Remember a little heart over here? That's a pretty bad heart. Okay. It's a butterfly. Yay. I want to have an ongoing theme color for what's coming next, which is going to be my subtitle. But before I write in my subtitle, I'm just going to write something here. The body of my notes are going to be in blue. I had students a couple years ago say that they really like blue and they wanted to learn or wanted me to write in blue. So I started writing in blue. We're going to put right here, a study of the earth. Boom. That's it. Next, I'm going to create a subtitle. The subtitle, I'm going to bring it all the way over to the edge. I might just make my subtitles 2 lines. Boom. So you've just watched a video, and now we're going to write down some of the things we learned about water. In the very first caption it said 71%, sorry, I want to put a bullet point here, 71% of Earth is covered by water. That's a big portion. Now, that's not all fresh water, it's salt water, but 71% of the world. It's amazing. Water is essential. Okay. In the video it said we can only live 3 days without water. That's proving water is essential to life. You don't have to write it down, but if you want to write it down, you could write it down over here. You could write it down right here. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm giving you the minimal notes that you are expected to take. Mountains store water and ice. It's so important. Think about it. Most water runs down to sea level. Where, okay, this is not a new topic. It's continuing this topic. I'm not going to put a dash right here. I touched it, but I don't want a dash. Most water runs down to sea level, where we measure elevation. Like, I didn't put another one there because it's still part of the same sentence. And then I'm going to put some uses here. I don't have to describe them all, but I have to understand. Hunting? Well, if water is essential to life, and in the video I said everything on earth needs water to survive, animals come to water. It's a great place to find animals. Next, fishing. That's pretty easy. Irrigation. We're going to be seeing some cool irrigation. We're going to be seeing some good, cool irrigation techniques, which is a future vocab word called agricultural terracing, as well as the dragon backbone pump. It's about watering your food. If we didn't know that, this is a great time for us to talk about this. Maybe I need to pick up something, maybe a highlighter, not yellow, but maybe I need to say, I'm not 100% sure what irrigation is. Maybe I'm going to send a note to Mr. V and just ask him, because Mr. V doesn't care if I don't know. He understands I might have missed that day of school once upon a time. So always highlight anything that I don't understand, and then feel free to ask me. And so often I'll be like, man, what a great point, because how many other people probably didn't understand that word either, and now I get to share it. I know irrigation's a hard word, and that's why I put up the definition. Protection. One of the greatest cities that have ever existed was on a peninsula, and it was so protected. Oops. Traveling and trade. Well, that's pretty simple. They started making boats, started moving around, and finally, political borders. So, look at this picture of the Mississippi River. It is creating borders between so many places, including Tennessee and Arkansas, Tennessee and Missouri. Iowa has the Mississippi running on the east side of it and the Missouri running on the west, creating its borders. That's why it's shaped that way. Boom. That's all I have on water. That means I have a brand new subtitle. So back to this guy. I should just leave the caps off. Oops. Doggone it. Next. I definitely don't want to get too crowded. And I definitely want to make sure everything is organized. Okay. This is the beginning of school. My handwriting is going to get better as I go on because I'm going to practice it more. But I'm probably a little handwriting lazy right now. So I want you all to practice with me, okay? Put down that because we're doing blue. Alright. Wow, 33% of the land on Earth. Not 33% of Earth, 33% of the land. I have to communicate our thoughts well. And if I'm not communicating, you guys feel free to send me any corrections whatsoever. It will not hurt my feelings ever. Okay, I struggle with the greater than and less than signs, but this is a desert receives. I probably should have put receives there. %. It says less than 10% of rain. No. Okay, I messed up. I know some of you can't stand that. But that's the consequences of me writing in pen. I wanted to put receives less than 10 inches of rain. And yes, Antarctica is a desert. I know it's wide and tons of snow. That snow just never melts. It's always blowing around down there. I did not say this in the video, but it is important. Sahara is in northern Africa. The Gobi is in China and Mongolia. This is going to become important later, and was created by the rain shadow effect. Guess what? I'm going to draw the rain shadow effect. If I'm ever looking for the rain shadow effect, boom, I can come right here and find it. I'm going to draw a purple mountain. And I'm going to say this side is the windward. Draw an arrow here. I'm going to draw a cloud here. And just a smaller cloud here. And then poof. This side is the leeward. Over here, desert. One more thing. Moisture is alright. Can't wait to see what your drawing looks like. I'm going to put here just realized for the second time that this part of the video is messed up. So I'm doing it once again. Right up here. I'm going to go ahead and write the word geography in the same way I've already done it before. Next is my subtitle, which is this time is mountains, and finally with my blue pen. They're created by converging plates. Let's draw some converging plates. I'm going to use black. So I have an arrow that is going to head upward, as well as another one that converges right in the middle. This is called the Indian plate. And this is called the Eurasian plate. This collision creates the Himalayas. They are convergent. Not a vocab word though, but great to know. In the Himalayan mountains, I am going to show you in the part of the world where they would be found. Right here is India, and you can see how, if you saw from the video, how India has moved its way up to the Eurasian plate and is crashing in here right now, creating these mountains separating India from China. The Indian plate is the fastest moving plate on Earth, and so these mountains are growing at a more rapid rate than other mountains may be growing. In the Himalayan mountains, we have Mount Everest, is the tallest mountain. Oh, Mr. V, what have you done there? I don't understand. Mountain equals mountain. Is the tallest mountain on Earth above sea level. I'm going to put these in little brackets like that. Man, isn't that so cool about Mauna Kea? It being the tallest mountain on Earth, but you can only see 13,700 feet of it, which is still huge. But it's just very interesting that the majority of that mountain is underwater. Next, one great thing we have about mountains is that they store most of our drinking water. Why don't we go ahead and put in the form of ice? This is where a lot of people are worried about global warming and making those mountains store less ice, therefore cutting down on the water supply. And finally, due to the fact that these mountains are colliding and being, and the parts of the earth that have been hidden very deep under the crust are now starting to come up and become exposed. And that's where we can get minerals from. And minerals are often, I better go back to writing well so I can read my own writing. Minerals are often found. I know I get in a hurry sometimes, but maybe I just need to slow down and focus and make sure that I know the words that I'm saying. Minerals are often found in mountains. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that again so I'll make sure that I do my job. Alright, some of these are like gold, silver, tin, copper, zinc, boom. So this is our lesson, and we are going to have takeaways from our lesson on a daily basis. What did I get out of this lesson? How does it apply to my life? Oh man, did I do it again? Sorry. Just a learning process here. But I like to take, after a lesson, after each title, I like to take time to write. It's 2 to 3 sentences. I'll tell you what, I'm going to move this to this side over here and write 2 to 3 sentences. And I'm going to use this type of thing. It's called like a who, what, when, where, why, how, and that'll make up at least 1 to 2 of my sentences. But the third or second or third sentence is going to come from this. Consequence / legacy. Okay. Most of us understand consequence. Maybe we need some help with this word. I don't think we know what it is, but you know, it's not necessarily a negative thing. It can be a positive thing. A consequence is a result of an action. That's all it is. Result of an action. Because I watered my plant, it grew. So it can be a positive or a negative. And finally, there's legacy. Bum, bum, bum. Guess what? I'm going to highlight this word because this word is a vocab word. You are responsible for knowing this word. You will be responsible multiple times for knowing this word. I'm doing a little different this time, but that's okay. All right. Is something useful left behind for future generations. Man, what's a great So I'm going to fold it up and I'm going to write legacy. I'm going to always come back to here. Something useful left behind for future generations. Did you know that Rome left us with concrete? What a great legacy. So we've studied water, deserts, mountains. I really see how these things are beneficial for us. And I think that's the way that I'm going to approach this about my learning today. I'm like, who do these benefit? And they benefit everyone. What do they benefit? They benefit everything. They benefit everything. When do they benefit those things? All the time. Where? Everywhere. This is getting to be a kind of repetitive thing. Why? Because. How? In every way. Okay, so this is a little bit different from what we normally do. So let's say we were studying Charlemagne, and we would talk about Charlemagne. Who's Charlemagne? What was crowned Holy Roman Emperor on Christmas Day 800? Oops. When? Christmas Day 800. Where? Rome. Why? Because he had a symbiotic relationship with the Pope. How? A crown was placed on his head by the Pope. What is the consequence or legacy? The legacy of that was that Charlemagne became the first Holy Roman Emperor, and he converted much of Europe to Christianity, often through force. But this isn't as specific. I mean, I think that we rely on the earth. Now, just because I'm writing this doesn't mean this will be what yours looks like. You might take the same direction as me, but you might take a totally different direction also, as long as the things that you bring out in this come from your lesson that day. We rely on the earth to provide us with, look at that, Mr. V, what are you writing right there? Oops. Our needs. And it does. It gives us everything we need in life. And the more we know, knowing geography will help us understand how to preserve Earth for our future. What about respect in here? Respect our earth. I mean, what a great world. You're gonna find out how much I love the earth. I really do. I hit on this a little bit, but this is our situation where we want to say, this is what I got out of this lesson. I want you to find a way to apply it to your life if you can. Apply it to America. Apply it to the human race in 2 to 3 sentences. I don't want a lot. I just want a good summary. And I want you to use the best communication you can. Communication. Can't stress how much I expect you to use good communication and kind words. Always treat each other with kindness. So if you go home today and your parents ask you, what did you learn in Mr. V's class? This is where it goes. We rely on the earth to provide us with our needs knowing geography helps us understand how to, back to good writing, how to respect and preserve our earth for future generations. What'd you learn today in Mr. V's class? Well, we rely on the earth to provide us with our needs. Knowing geography helps us understand how to respect and preserve our earth. Keep that water in those mountains for future generations. Guys, it's been a great day. Know your vocab words. Make sure that you know theory and make sure that you know legacy. And I'll see you soon.